Welcome to the podcast where we take a deep dive into the stories behind construction business leaders. We will share how they got started, how they found success, and the lessons learned along the way. I'm your host, Eric Fortenberry. Welcome to Builder Stories. Welcome back, everybody. Today I am here with Greg DiBernardo. Did I say it right, Greg?
You did.
Awesome. Greg is with Peachtree Decks and Porches, located in Atlanta, Georgia. Really excited to have you on the show today, Greg. You've been an awesome partner for us. We've been working together with you for a while now. I know you're also going to be speaking at JobTread Connect coming up in January, so really excited about that. But welcome to Builder Stories.
Well, thank you for having me. It is a true honor to do this. So thanks for asking me to do it. I'm happy to help.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't you give us a little bit of background? I mean, how did you get into construction? What led you to start building decks? Tell us a little bit about your backstory.
Sure. So I took a very strange path to becoming a contractor. My parents in a million years never would have suspected that I would be a contractor. It was go to college, which I did. My college degree is in television and video production, of all things. And they never thought I'd be wearing a tool belt. It all kind of goes back to when I was in about seventh grade. My parents put an addition on the house, and I was enamored with the guys working on the house. I just spent all my time with the contractors. And I said, man, I want to do this. And I got into this old house in New Yankee Workshop. I actually met Norm Abrams, and he signed my shirt when I was a kid. And in the back of my head, I always just liked working with my hands. And I was a white-collar guy working in corporate America. And I decided to build an addition on my house. This is in 1999 or 2000. And I said, I'm just going to do it myself. It's not that hard. And a buddy of mine was a lead carpenter for a very prominent remodeling company up in New Jersey. And he helped me. And one day he was like, Greg, why don't you do this for a living? You're doing great. I said, well, I would, but it's not my thing. And it made me think. And I said, I'm really not happy sitting at a desk all day. Let me try my hand at being a contractor. So because my background actually was in marketing, my angle was that I'm going to be a handyman, but I'm not just going to be a regular handyman. I'm going to be a high-end handyman. And I'm going to market myself as such, be very clean cut, have a nice truck, and I'm going to work for nice people with a lot of money that don't want to do stuff themselves. And I figured I couldn't get in over my head being a handyman, couldn't damage anything. I started doing that, and the customers were like, oh, can you remodel my bathroom? Can you do my basement? Can you do my kitchen? So it just kind of snowballed into now I'm a contractor, kind of by accident. And I did all sorts of remodeling up in New Jersey for a while, but I realized up there at least that there was no deck guy. I always kind of liked the deck part. I started to get real tired of working inside people's houses with dust protection and vacuums and all that. They're trying to get their kids out to school in the morning in their bathrobe, and you're walking in ready to work. I was just like, this is crazy. So I opted to, I remember sitting at my kitchen table with the old, we had a newspaper. There was no internet back then. I opened up the newspaper and I said, there's nobody in the deck category. Nobody. And this is right outside of Manhattan. So I said, I'm going to become the deck guy. So I built a website, I branded it, and one thing led to another, and I just became like the deck guy in my little pocket of the world. And I did pretty well. I was still wearing a tool belt. I was self-performing the work. But I was cleaning up with a leaf blower at that point, not a vacuum, which was nice. I did that, but I guess attention deficit disorder. I got a little bored of doing that. And realistically, I just started to really dislike living in New Jersey where we lived. So I started exploring options to get out, to evacuate New Jersey. And I didn't know where I wanted to go other than I wanted to go someplace where the deck market was good. And I kind of had the recipe to build a deck company, so I said I can go anywhere. Well, a friend of mine invited me down to Atlanta and said, hey, you should check out Atlanta. I had never been to Atlanta other than through the airport like a lot of people. and I came down and fell in love with Atlanta. I ended up meeting with Bobby Parks, who owned Peachtree Decks at the time. And Bobby and I had known each other through the industry. And I was sitting in my hotel room. I went out to lunch with him. I was sitting in my hotel room the same night. And he said to me, Greg, I was thinking, I kind of want to get out of this and you want to move. Do you want to buy Peachtree Decks? And, I was very flattered because everybody looks up to Bobby, present company included. And I said, well, why do I need to write you a check? I know how to do this. Is Dragon start a company anywhere. The more I thought about it, it's like, there's something to be said for buying a business that's the train's already on the tracks. And Bobby had a great business. So we worked it out. It was a very quick transition. That first touch with him is in January. And by June, I had sold my house in New Jersey and relocated down here and bought the company. So it was very fast.
Wow.
That was in 2014. So now the joke is I've actually owned Peachtree Decks and Porches longer than Bobby did. So I took what he had and kind of grew it. So here we are now in Alpharetta, Georgia. We specialize in more, I'll say the higher end of the spectrum of outdoor living. So, we only do composite. Everything's low maintenance. We do a lot of outdoor living spaces, porches with windows and heaters and things like that. Sorry. But our average price of a job is probably around $100,000 these days. We don't get into the real lower end, $20,000 or $30,000 jobs. Most of our projects are, I'll say, $45,000 and up is kind of a small job for us. And some of the projects go, into a lot of them go into six figures. Some of them are over $200,000. It just depends on the scope. So,
Wow.
That's kind of the focus of what we do. I have an office operations manager. I have a project manager, and then we have a variation of field crews, but generally never less than 2 full-time crews building, a full-time painting crew, and then your trades come in and out doing the specialty things like electrical, plumbing, masonry, things of that nature.
Man, that's an awesome story. I mean, starting off as a handyman. I mean, I hear a lot. That's where so many people kind of get their roots, kind of get going. But then it just sort of naturally, people pull them into larger projects. And I think that seems like a great way to kind of build that confidence, kind of get that momentum going, get those customers in, kind of get used to, starting, to sell jobs and execute on them. And so it seems like that was a great start for you. But like every deck builder I seem to meet, they're like, well, I tried it on the inside, but man, I would much rather work outside. Stay away from the family, disrupting their lives. You can just kind of come do your thing, get in and out pretty quickly with with these decks out there. So I mean, that seems like you pretty quickly sort of found a great niche for yourself and really built off of that. I had no idea that Bobby Parks, and you were even connected.
Yep.
I'm definitely have looked up to him for a while as well. It's super cool that you ended up buying his business, and I know he's definitely looked up to in the deck industry, doing
And
some
it's
really cool
funny. I'll
stuff.
tell you a very funny Bobby Park story. So when I was a youngin', right, I was always the young guy. You can't tell now I have the gray hair, but I was always the young guy in the deck, right? I was the Instagram dude before there was Instagram. Okay. I go to this AZEC, like council meeting, a product development meeting down in Alabama. And I walk into a conference room, small. It's like 12 guys. And it's Bobby Parks. It's all Kim Catwick. All of these guys that are writing for the magazines. And I was writing for the magazines a lot too. Back then it was Professional Deck Builder, JLC. I knew all of these guys through reading their articles and quite honestly, like soaking up all of their info. So I walk into this room and Bobby's there. And Bobby said, "Oh, I know you. You're the guy from New Jersey." Yeah. And he's super nice. We go through this meeting, and after the first day, he says, "Hey, come over here for a second." Pulls me aside, as only Bobby can do, and he says, "Hey, man, you're the only person in here wearing a tool belt. What are you doing?" And I said, What do you mean? I built decks. He's like, you got to take the tool belt off. You have to. He goes, you can't do it forever. And he goes, you are too smart to be wearing a tool belt. He goes, you got to promise me when you go home. Promise me. You got to hire people and you do the business part, or you find people to do the building part. And I was like, oh man, I can't do it. But back that Bobby Parks tells you to do something, you do it.
Yeah.
And I did it. And that started me on the, I'm no longer a hammer banger. I'm a business person.
Yeah.
So he was real instrumental in
Yeah, no,
developing me.
that's awesome and great advice for you to have gotten early on like that, to be able to go and start focusing on the business side. I mean, I see so many people who don't figure that out for so long, and they continue to, do the work, kind of also having to sort of manage the business, but while keeping that tool belt on. I mean, you're burning both ends of the candlestick there, and it just burns them out, burns so many people out.
Honestly, it's unsustainable. And in our industry, you find there's kind of two different guys. You have the tradesperson. A guy's a master, great with a saw, can do anything, but a terrible business person.
Yeah.
When those guys try to get into the business side, it can be catastrophic because they just don't have the chops to do the business part of it. Likewise, if you put me back onto a saw in 2024, my guys would throw me off the job site. Like, I could hardly climb a ladder anymore, right? But I found where I'm actually better sitting at a computer running a business and doing the big picture than being out with sawdust in my hair. And it's a hard transition to make. I don't think that it's for everybody. Some people are just craftsmen, and they should leave it to guys like us to be there. I equate it to being a sports agent, right? Every football player has an agent, and the agent does all the business stuff, and they go out on the field and they excel at being on the field, but they need the agent. And some tradespeople need that agent. We'll feed you the work. Show up here, go do this. You don't have to think about all of the math and the money and just here you go. So that's kind of how I see, like, my role is to be the agent for everybody in my organization, right? It's like, I set them up, you knock them down.
Yep. So I mean, what was it like kind of making that transition early on? I mean, where did you first focus, your time when you knew you were going to sort of move into the business side? Like, what was the most important thing that you knew you had to tackle first?
Yeah. So, sales for sure. Every business without sales is not a business. It's just not. If you don't have sales, the rest of it doesn't matter, right? So you have to get good at bringing business in. So when I made the transition, I was pretty good at doing the marketing thing. And again, this is in 2000, right? So websites are just kind of like a thing, and like Facebook didn't exist. Newspaper ads, like I was running newspaper ads back then, but I knew how to do it, and I knew how to package my company to be like, hey, everybody else is showing up here with sawdust in their hair, chewing tobacco. I show up super neat and clean to your house, very professional. I have an answer for everything. Who do you want to deal with? Do you want to deal with the pro, or do you want to deal with the guy who, I don't know? So I kind of really spent my time at that point. Once I found guys I could trust to do the building, I just focused on creating a front end to feed the machine of the sales. How do I sign contract? How do I get the people? How do I get them into a contract? How do we, sell it, sign it, execute it? And that's what I really focused on.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So from a marketing standpoint, I mean, how did you find, ways to get leads? I mean, you kid about before, Facebook and Instagram, but I mean, like, what does it look like, today? Like, what do you think are the most important, marketing tools to help people fill that funnel?
I think I'm in a little bit of a unique situation, and it's not a catch-all. We don't do any advertising at Peachtree Decks and Porches. We've been around a long time, so we have a reputation that carries us, and that may not be the right answer that a lot of people want to hear, but I have never received one legitimate contact or a lead through Facebook. Not one, ever. It's always junk, garbage. They're complete bad leads. We rely on our website, which has pretty good ranking, The website, we just built another website. The website puts a very professional front out that I think demonstrates to the right kind of customer that we want to attract, that, hey, this is a company we want to engage with. And, you know, I'm very, I'll say, what's the right word? Every person that contacts us is not necessarily our customer, and I'm aware of that. So I
Sure.
vet people pretty hard, because I don't want to waste our time. I don't want to waste their time. But if they're looking for, we market as a kind of a white glove, like, hey, like you're in good hands from start to finish. That's the way we market it. Some people, that's too much for them, quite frankly. Like, they want the Facebook guy. They want the guy that doesn't have an office, that doesn't have a showroom, that has the low price.
Yeah.
That, you know, maybe they don't even know what they're actually getting at the end of the day, because the contract or the proposal is so, it's just a Word document, if they even, or a text. I mean, you know how it is.
Yep.
So that's kind of where JobTread comes in too, to the whole equation of like putting such a good front face to the business in front of the customer. It's enabled us to really kind of up our game to look really good in front of clients, prospective clients.
That makes total sense. I'm curious. You talked about, not every lead that comes through the door is a good ideal customer for you. I mean, what sort of, kind of characteristics, qualities, what are you looking for? How do you vet them to know if they're going to be a good fit and someone you want to do business with?
Absolutely. So this is kind of what my presentation at the conference is going to be about, but it's worth noting because a lot of people have asked me about this. So qualifying, super important, and a lot of it, is just looking at, where do they live, right? Number one, do they live in a part of town that doesn't support the kind of work that we do, right? So that could just be a disqualifier right there, and it sounds kind of snotty and obnoxious, but the reality of it is that somebody that lives in a $400,000 house in Atlanta is probably not our kind of customer, right? Because 3 years ago, that was a $200,000 house,
Yeah.
right? So they're not, so just their address may disqualify them, right? Other things, like we ask them to send photos, right? And I won't even talk to somebody on a discovery call unless they send photos, because it means they've skin in the game. If you can't even walk in your backyard and take a picture and send it to me so I can have half a clue about what we're going to talk about, you're out. And most people don't have an issue with that. But when I look at those pictures, you go, okay, there's trees growing out of their gutters. This house has never seen maintenance from the day it was built. The lawn's not cut. Right? It's like FBI profiling. It's all these little things. There's kids, there's children's toys scattered everywhere. Okay, so they probably have young kids, which means tell me that they're probably a young couple. They don't have a lot of expendable money, and they have to do a deck because they have to do a deck, not because they want to do a deck.
Yeah.
And we engage with people that want to do these projects and they want something cool. So the photos, other things. If I'm talking to them, I will come right out and ask them, how much do you want to invest in this project? Or how much do you anticipate investing in this? And Eric, you'll blow your mind. People will say to me on the phone, oh yeah, like don't describe, I want a 400 square foot deck and I want a room with a fireplace and I want to have a ceiling underneath it and a patio. Okay, how much do you anticipate? Oh, they're about $30,000. Listen, and my answer to them is, and I say it kind of snarkily, but it's true. Have you been to a restaurant in the last 4 years? Like a hamburger's $27. You think that that's a $30,000 job?
Yeah.
No, it's, and I'll also use the word, it's orders of magnitude more than that. So, and I cut right to the chase. This is the New Jersey part of me, but are you prepared to write a check for $150,000? Oh my God, you hear them. They can't even talk at that point. Well, okay, I get it. So let's scale this back, because this is the other thing that I've realized too, is that because of JobTread and how we're able to automate kind of dealing with clients' leads coming in, I am often the first contractor they talk to. right? Because they're sitting on their iPad at night on the couch and they're just blasting out contact forms, right? You know how it goes. Half of them don't even look at the website. We have pricing on our website. They don't even look at it. So when I talk to them first and I just smack them in the face with reality. And, you just hear them go, ooh. Well, and I'll even tell them, listen, everybody that you just called on the first page of your rule is going to tell you the same thing. So you either need to scale back what you're looking to do or raise your budget. But it's your budget in your head is not compatible with the reality of 2024. And that's a huge disqualifier. And if you have a big sales team and you need to churn leads, then maybe you throw a sales guy at that and try and sell that person something. I know for what we do and how we do it and our brand, I cannot deliver anything to that person with that kind of a limited budget. Right? It's just a waste. So we'll part ways amicably, but most of the time people will give me a budget to that question where it's still not right, but at least it's quasi-realistic, right? So they may say, I don't know, $80,000. It's probably more like 120. And they go, oh, okay. Because they honestly didn't know. They've got $120,000. They just don't know. So part of that is the pay. And I'll, a lot of times too, while we're on the phone, I'll text to them photos of things they're talking about that we built. Oh, is that what, is that what you like? Yeah, yeah. Is that what you like? Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, now we're getting in. So that's kind of how I qualify people in real time. And we charge, right? I don't do free estimates. We charge for consultations to go out, give them a design, give them a really pretty proposal in JobTread with a lot of options. And it's a system that works for us. It may not work for everybody.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think your website looks awesome. For anyone out there who hasn't checked out Greg's website, it's Peachtree Decks and Porches.com. I really like how you immediately come out with, who we are, our core values, innovative design, unmatched value, transparent communications. I mean, like, that's awesome. And then you got a video to learn more about who you are and kind of see the behind the scenes. This is a great website. I'm curious, like, a lot of people, when they think about putting pricing on their website, though, they get really scared about that, and they think, oh, well, then nobody's going to contact me. And what has your experience been adding pricing? Have you always had pricing on your website? Has that helped to really kind of, funnel out, kind of weed out the people who aren't, the ideal customers?
That's a good question. So this is the first iteration of many websites that we've had that has pricing. And I made that conscious decision because I think it's very important. We're in an information age now. We're in an age where everybody looks everything up. How much is it on Amazon? You're in a store. How much is it on Amazon, right? And educating the customer is important. I ask clients during the discovery call, have you looked at our showcase? And a lot of times they go, no. I go, what parts of the website did you look at? Nothing. They go right to the contact page.
Yeah.
They don't even know, but I will say this. Some people say yes. And I say, great. So you saw what these projects go for. And I use a pretty wide range because I want to be realistic, but I also don't want to scare people off, but I also don't want to give them a false hope either. So I think putting the pricing on is something realistically, if more contractors did it, I think it would be beneficial for the industry because you would just eliminate these people that they're just wandering, right? They're window shopping for products that they don't even know how much remotely cost.
Yeah.
And it's a time suck for everybody, right? Because they're calling everybody on the internet until they find the answer that they want. Right? Regardless of what the final product is, certain people are looking for the price. They're shopping on the price. So if they go to my website and see, oh, that porch is $120,000 and they don't want to spend $120,000, I can't do anything for that, right?
Yeah.
There is no $40,000 porch that we build. There just isn't. So I think putting the pricing's good, and the clients that have worked through that have become clients, they tend to have done the research and looked more at the website.
Sure.
The not as qualified clients tend to be the ones that skim.
I really like how you've mapped out the process as well. I feel like a lot of people don't realize, what the whole process looks like going into a construction project. And so like you've done a really good job educating them on what to expect. And so I mean, I gotta imagine, having all of this knowledge and this kind of this value added content on your website that's providing that education is helping them come in, warmer, more prepared, more excited to partner with someone who is a legitimate builder who's not just, kind of working, out of their truck job to job. You have built a business here and you
Right.
are going to provide them a great experience and have all of your ducks in a row. And so, I mean, have you seen a transition from when, maybe a website before that, like you didn't do as good of a job kind of educating about the process and kind of, what the jobs look like? I mean, how is kind of that, have you seen the quality of your leads increase after improving the website like this?
Yeah, I think so. I think it ropes in a better client, right? Because I can't compete with the bottom feeders. I just can't.
No.
If you're shopping on price, we're not for you. I want to have clients that care about what they're building and what it says in, if you guys go and look at our website, part of it, the thing I say is, I want to build what you want, not what I want. But there's so many options in a modern build. There's so many forks in the road. I cannot possibly go through all of those options for you in your backyard when I'm standing there taking notes and taking dimensions, or in one proposal. I have to start somewhere and get a dart on the dartboard for a scope and a budget, because you're coming to me with nothing. You don't even know what you want. But I have to kind of I have to walk clients through a process where I'm leading blind people, through the store, feeling things out. And do you like this? No. Okay, well then let's go look at this. Do you like this? No. Let's go look at this. And that process takes time, and it's not the Amazon Prime, you get it tomorrow, right? There's certain deck builders in the industry that are hugely successful, right? Because they don't give people options. And that's the kind of market. It's, here's your 12x16 deck. Do you want brown boards or gray boards? And here's your black aluminum railing, and we'll get it done in 3 days, right? It's not said we can't do that, but we have a more, because we're offering so many options, I literally can't get somebody through the process any faster than that. It's the most efficient way that I can come across to do it, is having that process, and the right kind of client appreciates it, right?
Yeah.
Nobody walks into it. If you're going to redo your kitchen, I use analogies with clients so they can understand. You don't just walk into Home Depot and be like, I want a new kitchen. How much time does it take to pick out the cabinets, the knobs? What kind of drawers do you want? What kind of drawer size do you want? Right? It's the same thing with like a modern outdoor living project. It's just all these little forks where you have to make decisions. And if the client is in the driver's seat, it takes a long time, right? If you just want a basic, simple deck, sure, here it is. But it's not something that we can do,
Yeah. Do you feel like the way, you're positioning yourself as kind of this high-end luxury builder, does that almost eliminate the need to kind of feel like there's this competitive landscape? Like, I mean, do you ever feel like you're still competing? Because if you're just saying, look, I'm not going to compete on price, if you're looking for that, that low-end quality product, or, the cheap product, then that's just not going to be a good fit for you. And then, does that sort of help you kind of take away this competitive dynamic, or you still feel like you're kind of competing?
I'm always competing. You're always competing in business because, part of like, what do they say? People buy from who they like, right? That's the number one thing. But even in my, in my area, like, we're not the only high-end company in town. We're not, there's other choices. There is a line drawn in the sand where you get the pickup truck contractor that's working out of his kitchen, right? Yeah, I have too much overhead because the value that we provide with a project manager, with an operations manager, with all of the systems having JobTread, right? So right? These are things that come with a price. It's you can't get a Mercedes and pay for a Ford. It's just you can't, right?
Yeah.
So does Mercedes have competition? Yeah, they got BMW, they've got Lexus, right? Same thing with us. Like we have competition at our level too. Um, but again, it depends. Like we don't have salespeople, right? I do the sales, so they're dealing with the head honcho. Now I'm involved in the projects once they're being built, but I'm not out there wearing a tool belt, right? I'm kind of the hovering over, everything. But there's always competition, and I'm cognizant of it, and I'm just trying to with the website. We're just trying to get it so that we give customers right up front that feeling to be like, hey, like we're gonna coddle you, like we're here with you. We want to help you, and we want to deliver what you want. We want to help you get from where you're thinking about it to doing it, and we'll help you along those steps.
Yeah. I mean, I think just the fact that again the owner is involved in the process, like that has got to just, elevate your game tremendously. Like if I had to choose between it, do I want to work with the owner of this business or do I want to work with the salesperson? I mean that's got to, hopefully help position you. I mean, are there other key factors that you try to, that you try to focus on, when building that value and building, that justification for them to go with you? Any other like kind of big things that come to mind?
Yeah, I mean, I stress communication constantly with clients from the first touch. And I ask them like, hey, like, have you ever done other work at your house? Yeah, yeah. What's the most recent project you've done? Oh, I remodeled my basement. How'd that go? Oh, it was pretty good. I'm like, well, you say that. Tell me about what's pretty good mean. Well, at the end of the day, it came out really good, but like, we were constantly having to run out and get materials. And sometimes like the contractor didn't show up for a few days and we didn't kind of know what was going on. And, we were kind of more involved in it than we wanted to be. And, like I said, it worked out great at the end, but it could have been smoother. And that's where that's kind of where, and this is not a sales pitch for JobTread, but I use it as a tool to say, hey, listen, I don't even use the word JobTread. I say, we use this really cool system, right? From the get-go. Once you get the proposal from us, you're going to be in the landscape of this program, and all of our communication go through it. You're never going to have to wonder where's the contractor. You're never going to have to wonder how much do I owe. You're going to have a dashboard. You're going to have all access to your to everything. I said we're going to give you the most unique contractor experience you've ever had, and all of our clients tell us that, and they love it, and they light up. Like, really? I said, really? I said, it's cool. It's cool. That's the word. It's so cool. I get excited talking about it,
Oh,
and I even tell them, hey, the proposal I'm going to send you, it's probably, and I kind of say it like funny. I'm like, it's probably going to be like overkill, but it's going to have all these cool things in it. You're going to be able to check a box and pick what kind of deck board you want, or what kind of railing you want, or what kind of ceiling finish you want. Right in the proposal. You don't have to ask me. It's all there. Just check a box and it updates the price on the fly. Yeah. Really?
yeah.
Yeah, really. Really. So
You know, it's
they get excited about it.
it's really interesting. Like, the more that, I kind of talk to higher end builders, like they're doing a lot more of that where they're incorporating how they're leveraging systems to help provide a much better experience and to make sure that, you hit your, hit the schedule, hit the budget. Like it helps you stay organized. It helps you keep all the communication in one place. And I think a lot of times, like a homeowner, a potential customer, they don't often think about anything beyond well, I just want to get this job done for this price, and whatever you have to do, that's on you. They don't realize that they're going to play a pivotal role in this project this entire time. And I think it's just, really that experience that you can provide. And it sounds like you do a great job of really like incorporating that into the sales process so that they understand and they value that this is going to be a great experience. We're going to work hand in hand together. You're going to know where we're at. And I think that's something that, again, a lot of these other contractors that don't have, a system in place, they're not organized, they can't use that in the pitch, and they can't use that as creating that competitive advantage like you're able to.
Mhm. And truth be told, I think that it's a double-edged sword though. There's two things that you have to consider when it comes to using systems like this and being, I'm going to use the word so over the top, right? Number one, like I said before, oftentimes because our response time is so good and we're so professional about getting back to people quickly, even when I'm out at their house to do a consultation, I'm the first contractor there, right? Listen, I know how to design something. I know how to put it together on paper. I know what I deliver them in that proposal is spectacular, okay? Here's the but. By being the first guy in, I've given them now this roadmap to build their project. And then it becomes well, this is great, but this guy's really spit and polish. And, the husband and wife, that guy, he's got a nice watch on or he's dressed too nice. We got to now he's got great ideas, but I'm sure we can find somebody that's cheaper, right? And I know that happens. And it's actually making me consider changing the way we do proposals because I'm giving them too much for upfront where I know nobody else can deliver that, right?
Yeah.
I'm giving them this beautiful scrolling thing with pictures and examples. The other guy's handing them a Word document that says 3 lines on it and a price. Now, certain customers are going to be like, no, Greg is the guy. The other customers are going to say, I don't know. Is that worth $20,000 extra? It is, because it's always never the same thing, right? It's never the same apples to apples. But when you're not involved in the process and those husband and wife are talking over dinner, those are the conversations, right? I'll even give you one other better example of this. I had a guy that wanted to do a very small job where I didn't even have to go to his house. He called up or I talked to him. I said, listen, this is so easy. From the photos you've given me, I can give you a proposal without even visiting your house. And I'll get it real close. And if it's something you want to, act on, then we'll come out. I sent him a proposal it was like $19,000. I sent them this proposal. And with JobTread, we can see when they view the proposal. This dude opened the proposal and declined it in under 30 seconds. So what did he do? He scrolled to the bottom, saw the price, and hit decline, right? And I actually texted him back and I said, I'm really glad I spent an hour putting that price together for you. You didn't even look at it. Well, the price is too high. Well, I told you that's what the price is going to be about when I talk to you on the phone. So, people...
No.
It's always an enigma trying to figure out what you're doing here versus what's happening on the other side of the computer screen. But with JobTread, I can kind of see the trends too of when you see somebody opening that proposal 1,000,000 times, it's like, boom, it's open. Boom, it's open. Boom, it's open. You're like, all right, this person's serious.
Yeah.
When they don't open the proposal, you're like, okay. The next day, you have to say, hey, did you get the proposal? Oh, and then you see it open. So they're not even, they give you some BS email account. They don't even check, right? It's, I don't know. I don't have a magic bullet for it, but I will say that having JobTread is very helpful for what I do on the front end. And then once we get into the project, it's even better.
So are you, now I think you mentioned though that you're selling a design agreement or you're charging for your estimates. Is that a new thing or have you always done that?
Yeah. So I haven't done a free estimate in probably 20 years at this point. I don't believe in them. I think that a free estimate is, Eric, ask me how much does your deck going to cost? Ask me.
How much my deck going to cost?
Probably between $15,000 and $20,000. Okay. That's an estimate. All right. If you want me to come out, drive to your house, counsel you, put a drawing together so I can establish a scope of work, all that stuff, that's a proposal. That takes time. I'm a professional. I get paid for it, period. If you don't want to pay me for that, you're not my customer. If you can't appreciate that, and plenty of people do. The right people understand a professional charges you for their time.
Yeah.
The person that says, oh, you don't do free estimates and hangs up, that's the best. That person's never going to buy anything from anybody, probably. And if they are, God knows what it's going to be.
So what do you...
I'm a very firm believer in charging.
How do you structure that?
So we basically do a paid design consultation at their house. So first, we have a discovery call to qualify. It's like a 15-minute call. And if we get a green light from that, hey, okay, yeah, we're on the same wavelength. We're aligned. I'll say, hey, okay, the next step, do you want me to come out and do a design consultation? And they'll say, and I'll tell them, what's involved in it. And I charge $199 to do the design consultation. And admittedly, I can put together at this point, I've been doing this for so long, most of the proposals, no matter if it's $50,000 or $250,000, I can put that proposal together in 20 minutes. Okay. And it's detailed because I've got the systems dialed in. So it's not so much about the $199, right? It covers my time to go out there. It makes them have a little skin in the game.
Yeah.
Right. Not so much where they're like, oh, that's crazy. But it's like, all right, this guy, $200. Okay. It's $200. You spend that on dinner now. Okay. Is it worth? And again, if they balk on that, no problem. See you later. Because every single client that has built Peachtree Decks and Porches has paid for a consultation, and it produces results. Not for us, for them. Because I can invest the time to do it properly. And, I say, if you're going to get a free estimate, how much time do you think that guy is investing in putting together a free estimate? He's just throwing paper out on the street.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's probably got mistakes in it. Right.
So,
and then they don't know. They don't know. And again, it's the reason I can do these proposals so fast is because I've invested thousands of hours of experience and time to build the back end systems to get it that way. But we're going to send them a proposal that blows their doors off. They've never seen anything like it. So it's worth $199, dollars to me. And sometimes there's certain projects where we go straight into like a more formal design agreement. And that could be thousands of dollars. It just kind of depends. But your average kind of deck porch, that's the approach we take.
So do you feel like, what's your conversion rate when you get the design consultation? How often are you getting them converted into a construction project?
You'd be surprised. It's still a very low percent. Still very low. It's probably less than 10%. And the reason is this. Some people talk a good game all the way up until the point where they got to start writing checks.
Yeah.
It becomes a reality. That's the truth. I've been doing this. I've done thousands of design consultations, and I can have great rapport with people, and I can tell them, okay, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, we're going to do this, and even reiterate while I'm there, okay, I think we're going to be around, whatever, $120,000. Yeah, okay, great. And then when they see that number on paper, and they go, ooh, I got to do it. Like, I don't know. There's other people, like I said, that are so quick to pull the trigger, they practically give me a check when I'm in their backyard.
Yeah.
You never know. But at the dollars that we're talking about for the kind of projects we do, I'm okay with that kind of closing rate. And again, I don't consider myself to be a salesperson, although I am. I'm really I help people get their projects going. But, I don't think that no amount of salesmanship can convince somebody to part with that kind of money unless they're resigned to part with that kind of money.
Yeah.
That's just the factor of it. And now I was actually just on an industry phone call earlier today, and all the deck builders that were on there were singing the same, we were all singing the same song about how the economy's changed and it's just different now. The jobs, like the leads are not good anymore, or they're slow. First of all, the leads have been slowing down since the late summer. The leads that come in are all not high quality. It's not even dreamers. It's people that just don't have any money. They want to do repairs and stuff. And it's all across the country. So I think the people that are truly wealthy don't care. But I don't work for truly wealthy people. I don't work for basketball players, NBA guys, right? I work for people that have good jobs, that have nice houses. It's still a lot of money to stroke a check and just be like, here you go. Here's 150 grand, right? Or whatever it's going to be to put something on the back of your house. So You know,
So do you are there changes that you plan, or even just you saw kind of this group of builders that are there steps, things that they're implementing to try to address the economy and how it's changing?
I think the consensus that we all agreed upon is that this time of the year is just not good anyway, right? From Thanksgiving to Christmas, even historically, I looked it up. It's dead this time of the year. It's fine. We've got a big backlog, so we're okay. Hopefully in January, once the inauguration happens and things kind of like normalize, uh, things will turn around. Again, it's not doom and gloom, but yeah, like I was just having a discussion with my project manager about like, all right, what are some things that we might want to think of doing? And the thing is our brand is, our brand is here. The problem is that people's budgets all of a sudden are here, right? So how do you take this brand and bring it to here? Well, we have very fixed costs. We have, how much does the material cost? How much does the labor cost? And what's our overhead? Well, we can't buy 2x10s for any less money, right? Labor, yeah, we pay our guys really well, but we have to, this day and age, to retain good help, you have to pay them. You have to pay that to deliver nice work. So can't just give them a 50% pay cut. Overhead, we're pretty lean and mean. There's 3 of us here, right? Do have a showroom, and an office, but it's not that much money. The end of the day is, what do you do? Do you come up with a product that's doesn't have all the bells and whistles? Yeah, maybe. But how much money are you really talking at that point? You're taking a job from $100,000 to $85,000. I don't know if that's enough for that person to pull the trigger. If there's, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if that's a big enough delta. It's the restaurant syndrome. You go out to eat now, a hamburger's $25 plus at a nice restaurant, right? When's the last time you have young kids? You go out to like a family restaurant and you have a beer and your wife has a glass of wine, it's $150.
Yep.
It's just the way it is. And I think people are going to have to it's a mental thing that we all have to wrap our heads around. It's just like, hey, the prices are not going back down. Yeah. It's not.
I think there's always, in election years, there's always a lot of uncertainty, and people kind of just sort of buckle in and say, oh, let me just see what happens. I don't know yet. I hope that, as you said, kind of once we get past the inauguration, sort of things kind of settle back in, and there's kind of this new reinvigoration of, okay, let's go get these projects done. I think people are only going to sit still for so long.
Yeah, I think I said, I'm not dooming and glooming by any means. It's just COVID gave everybody a real unfair sense of how easy it was to be a contractor. And the reality of it is, if you've been in this long term and you've lived through 2008, you know what it's like. Like, it's a thing. It's almost like a badge of honor that contractors wear. It's like, dude, I was in business through 2008. You were still in high school. I was doing it, and I survived. So I think what's going to happen is, right now there is in all of the trades, there's a glut of Facebook contractors. And what I mean by that is, these people have been given a platform to be a contractor through no other reason than having a Facebook account and just going from job to job to job, right? They don't have systems in place. They're just a guy in a truck. And what I tend to see, I can see it online, just in our local Facebook kind of groups and things. These guys are already sucking wind super hard. So what is that contractor? I'll ask you, what is the contractor that doesn't know anything about contracting do when they need to eat? What do they do?
Well, when they don't know anything about contracting, I mean, they're probably going to keep selling jobs and thinking they need to keep them lower. They keep just lowering the price.
Bingo.
And they're cutting the corners. They're, and then they're, taking the money, and then they can't actually fulfill the project, and they just dig themselves in this deep hole.
Right.
and they don't realize it just because you want it.
That's the cycle of how it works. So when it's real fluffy, like COVID made it real fluffy, you got all these guys, easy money. Everybody's a contractor. Now that it gets hard, those guys, the only thing that they know is drop the price because I've got to eat. Drop the price. That's it. Because they don't know how to estimate, so they don't know how much the job costs. They don't know what profit margins are. They don't have overhead. So it's just get that check for this week at whatever cost. I don't care if I'm here tomorrow. I got to eat today.
Yeah.
So all of those contractors that Facebook created and Instagram created, those guys, you'll lose the razzle dazzle and it gets to be hard. Those guys, we have to go through this cycle. You have to be tough. You have to be able to weather the storm as a professional while those guys are eating themselves alive and go out of business. And then the cream rises to the top again. And then the actual professionals are left standing. And again, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, but that's typically kind of how it works. And with contracting is, those bottom feeders they take the whole industry, the whole segment down by lowering their price.
Yep.
And they take advantage of people looking for a low price.
Yep. It's it's just like you said. I mean, it's easy for everyone to win in a bull market, but the true test of a business is how you can perform, when things aren't going, optimally, and it's not an easy economy. And I think it's kind of what it seems like we're kind of entering into. And I mean, there's so many people that, they're not going to make it. And I'm curious. I mean, so again, the people on this kind of listening to this podcast, I mean, who knows kind of where they're at in their journey. I mean, like, if you were in that position and you were a newer business earlier on, didn't have kind of the tenure and experience that you've got now with Peachtree, I mean, like, what advice would you give to them to how do you prepare to weather this storm? How do you invest in yourself, and where do you focus, and what moves do you make to make sure that you don't go under?
Right. I would say that the number one thing is you have to know your numbers. And listen, I'm guilty of it just as many other people. It's so easy when the money's coming in to just be like, whatever. Well, when you know your numbers to the penny, and you know how much it costs to deliver a job into somebody's house, to their backyard in my case, well, if it costs me $90,000 in hard costs, I can't sell this. I can't put the job under contract for anything less than XYZ margin, or else I might as well just stay home. I'm not in business to give people to donate things to charity on their house. So if you don't know your numbers, it's very easy to be sucked into that, right? Every contractor, I don't care who you are or how you started, we've all had this, had the job where you learn the hard way. You went to the school of hard knocks on your numbers, right?
Yep.
Everybody does it. But knowing your numbers is super critical. The other thing about, weathering the storm, I had to do it in 2008 when I was a young heir, right? What I did was I realized that there was a market opportunity. I was still in New Jersey at the time. I was doing decks, but I realized that redecks were real easy money, right? No permits, quick in, quick out. And I did a ton of redecks. And I kind of just said, yep, obviously if somebody's deck was falling off, we couldn't do it. But yep, you want to redeck it? Let's go. You want to redeck it? Let's go. And we shifted gears from doing new construction knockdowns to just redeck it. And that, by changing our price point, and that helped me kind of weather the storm. And a lot of people at that time, again, this is 2008, 2007, people weren't doing that stuff. It just wasn't a thing, right? So reinventing kind of your product and what you do can help. I mean, we even talk about it here all the time about okay, how can we change directions and pivot a little bit and still keep everything intact? It's a tightrope, but it's doable. It's just a question of figuring out what exactly it is.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's both excellent pieces of advice. And, it's even the same thing I recommend people if you're in a business where it's very cyclical, and you can't get the same level of volume and work, you know, in the summer or in the winter, kind of whenever it may be. Like, you got to sort of adjust. And what can you do during those off months that you can keep some cash flow, even if it's not, you know, your desired ideal projects? Like, what else can you do? How can you shift? You know, you got to just stay nimble and stay adaptive to, you know, to the changing environment, you know, and it's something that, you know, obviously everyone wants to be selling the big high-end jobs, but, you know, just like you said, I mean, when the economy turned south in 2007, 2008, I mean, you switched to the redeck model and you still kind of kept it going and it worked. And, you know, obviously you're able to pull it back out and get right back to where you're going. But like, it's that type of mindset and doing those, like those shifts, being able to shift your business is what can keep you going. You know,
Mhm.
and I think that's great advice. And, you know, knowing your numbers, I mean, you're preaching to the choir here. Like, it's just crazy how many people don't understand their bottom ultimate cost to deliver a project. And if you don't know that number, then, you know, how can you even know how, if you're selling and
You
pricing the
might as well
job
go
right?
walk around like this because that's
Yeah.
the reality of it. And you know, I had clarity. So we invested in JobTread in late 2023 to turn it on to go live in early, basically January 1st, 2024. Um, we had to bring other jobs into it that weren't native to JobTread. But when we did the first native JobTread job, and all of the numbers started in JobTread and got through, our project manager comes into my office here and sits down and he goes, "Hey man," he's like, "pull up this screen." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Pull up the screen." It's like the report screen. He goes, "Check this out." I'm like, "Mike, I swear, in as long as I've been a contractor," I started to cry. I was like, "I have never seen this level of accuracy in job costing. Like, oh my God, this is amazing." He's like, "Yeah, this is pretty cool." I'm like, "This is very cool." And it empowers us, right? So, uh, you know, if I've got a customer that's really nice, there's a good chemistry, and you know, listen, I'd like to work with them. I know I can slide the number in JobTread a little bit to help them and not
Yeah.
lose our shirt on it,
Yeah.
right? And do something nice for them and get a job on the board, but we know where the numbers are,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So it's knowing the numbers is huge.
Well, that's awesome, Greg. I mean, it's like I said, it's been awesome getting to work with you, you know, over the last you know, year or so, and, you know, really excited for you to come and share even more of your knowledge and your experience with our entire JobTread community at JobTread Connect in January. Really excited for that. You know, it's always rare to find people who not only, you know the ins and the outs of their business and their trade, but also having the ability and the willingness to come and share that knowledge and share that education and help others. You know, I truly believe, you know, rising tide lifts all boats. And just like you said, like, we need more contractors to understand their numbers, to know their value, know their worth, accurately price these jobs, because all these bottom feeders, all the people that are just lowballing everything, you know, they're not helping the industry. They're really not even helping themselves. They're not
Nope.
helping the customers. And so
Nope.
we need to help everyone to be better builders and to grow and to improve their business, improve their processes. And I appreciate you taking all the time out of your busy schedule to come and do this and to share this and to help everyone learn. It's really awesome. And I just want you to know how much I appreciate it, Greg.
Well, listen, Eric, and I'm not saying this to like give you a big ego, but the I am so impressed with the culture of JobTread. And I think I told you this when I met you the first time, but you know, nobody goes to a Microsoft Excel convention and goes, "Yeah, Excel. Woo!" So when I went to the JobTread conference as like a new guy last year, I was like kind of skeptical. And I walked in and I was like, this is incredible. The community around this software is part of its asset. I mean, the Facebook group is so good that it's almost like the intangible of using the software, uh, that it really is like a value added that I never thought of. I just haven't seen this in any other piece of software that I use, or quite frankly, any other thing I'm involved with in business. I mean, it's really for me. I'm so flattered to be able to be a part of the conference, and Anna asked me to be on the panel today too. And the reason is I went to that JobTread conference in January, and I took so much away from it in 3 days. I met some guys I didn't know before. I made some connections, but just soaking up the info has made me such a better person that I can't recommend going to that enough. It's totally worth the money, and to be a part of it, to be able to give people back. Like I said, Bobby Parks was like my mentor, and same thing. The rising tide lifts all boats, right? We got to help people, and I'm not an expert at anything, but I've been doing something a little right to get me somewhere. So if I can share that with people, I'm happy to do it,
Awesome. Well, yeah, I really appreciate it. I can't wait to see you in January. For those of you out there who listened to this before the conference, it's not too late to grab your tickets. JobTread Connect, it will be January 15th to the 17th in Dallas, Texas. So hope to see everyone there. Appreciate you coming on today, Greg, and sharing your story and sharing this insight. It's been really, really insightful, and really appreciate your time.
Oh, thanks so much. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Builder Stories. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and gained valuable insights that can help you in your journey along the way. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and leave us a review. And as always, if you or someone you know has a story to share, please contact us at builderstories.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Eric Fortenberry, and remember, every builder has a unique story. Keep building yours.